put us on audio and let everybody know. Okay, everyone's saying you are good to go.
Okay, call to order the Mendocino County Civil Service Commission. Today at December 18th at 9 a.m. First order of business is to approve the minutes for November 20th, 24th commission meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, excuse me, yes, we have to do roll call. Let's do roll call, excuse me.
Okay, Commissioner Winiger. Here. Commissioner Ebiam,
Here.
Commissioner Wiley,
Here.
and Commissioner Slater.
Here. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes for November 20th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make-
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Kevin approves her motion and your second.
I'll second.
Let's take roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Slater.
Aye.
Commissioner Winiger. Aye. Commissioner Ebiam
Yes.
and Commissioner Wiley.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, public expression, item number 3, is the opportunity of the public to address the commission on matters not listed on the agenda. Individuals wishing to address the commission under public expression are welcome to do so via email, Zoom, or voicemail message. For more information, please visit Mendocino County Civil Service Commission webpage. All written correspondence received by 8 a.m. the day of the meeting will be attached to the item and made available online on the Civil Service Commission webpage. Do we have any public comment?
I'm not seeing any.
Hearing none. Item number 4 is the opportunity for employee organization representatives to address the commission. We have anyone from the employee organization? No? All right, moving right along. Item 5 is closed session. Any public record or public reports or action taken in closed session will be made in accordance with Government Code section 54957.1. So now we go into closed session, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me put everybody in the waiting room.
And that is at 9:03.
Yes. One chair.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Thanks for your great. Okay, I think more of this later. You bet.
Well, enforcement wasn't very far.
Thank you. Okay, we're back.
Okay, we're back to open session
At
at 9:37,
9:33.
8:33, okay. On item A, the request for disciplinary appeal hearing decision finding environmental health manager, environmental health was voted unanimously with one extension. And then item 5B, to request public employee performance evaluation extension probationary period for public health was unanimous as well. And now we're moving on to item number 6. And that's the new classification, specification, and modification of code enforcement officer 1, 2, and 3. Supervisor, manager, and human resources will present. Morning. Yeah.
They're on.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brandy Delbell, HR Manager. The item before you is a request to approve the new classification of Code Enforcement Officer 3. In addition to approving the modifications to the classification specifications of Code Enforcement Officer 1 and 2, Supervising Code Enforcement Officer, and Code Enforcement Manager. The Code Enforcement Officer series is adding a new level of the 3, due in part to the volume of work, but also because of the increased complexity of the work. To ensure consistency and alignment across the series, Human Resources and the Planning and the Building Division collaborated to revise the minimum qualifications of all related classifications. At this point, I'm available to ask and answer any questions, as is the Assistant Director, John Burks, and online we have Gretchen McLaughlin, the Code Enforcement Manager.
I have a question. Does this involve expanding the department? Is it, or will people just be moved around so that whoever's in 1 or 2, or 2 probably, would just be moved up to 3? Or does it involve hiring more people?
I'll take the first stab at it, if I may. The first approach would be, yes, a 2 can promote into a 3. Giving us the ability to retain current employees and give them a succession plan. As well as in the event, we could open a recruitment to the public and hire at a level 3 if someone were to qualify.
But if you move someone from a 2 into a 3, then you would have to fill that 2's position,
That
right?
is a possibility,
So there
yes.
is, so it does involve hiring a new person.
At some point,
Good, yeah.
it very well could.
So the new classification is 3,
Yes,
2 exists right now, is
correct.
that correct?
Yeah.
So 1 and 2 exist.
Yes,
There's not a 3 classification.
So everybody could move up and you could ultimately fill the first 1
Yes.
position in their entry level.
Mhm.
Which would be kind of ideal.
But it would be a new position, and it said due to the volume, you mentioned volume, so we need more people. Yes? Yeah,
Yes.
As the budget allows.
Yes.
as a budget. Okay,
Any further discussion or questions?
so, yeah, I just have a question about the volume. Why is the volume increasing?
So if I may, so the Planning and Building Services Department's Code Enforcement Division used to be in like the teens, just an extension of building, right? You didn't get your building permit, code enforcement would interact with you on behalf of building. Then came planning. So there's an evolution that's happened. Then COVID comes, then, we were authorized to do some of the health and safety protocols and enforcement for COVID. And now the board has entrusted us with hazardous vegetation. Gretchen, the enforcement manager, is working on MOUs with other divisions like DOT to do enforcement. So as we become more evolved as a division specializing in administrative enforcement, which is kind of a unique standalone item, that's where the more complex position, the more people, the more resources are needed, because the county's relying more and more on code enforcement, especially when like law enforcement went through a bit of a drought in hiring. There was a lot of sort of tools that administrative enforcement could pick up and use. And now that the sheriff, they've sort of, I think, taken another page out of the city's book. They have community services officers as well. So I think that to sort of balance the overall needs of the county, code enforcement's picked up that, role quite a bit, along with community service officers. We're diversifying how we can, increase sort of the regulatory capacity of the county. And it's working. And I think that that's a testament to our code enforcement manager, who's a real dynamo, making all of this work. This is sort of the next natural phase, is to model it as its own division, with all of these additional steps, just because, all the specialized training that comes along with, you got to know a little bit about building, you got a little bit about health and safety, it's just.
Are most of those regulations or requirements state direct?
I think quite a few of them, yeah, and then whatever we adopt locally, so
Yeah.
our code enforcement division can enforce any of the county's codes.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering in general, like from the pandemic, or did most of those come from the state?
Yeah, and so, when that happened, the health officer, we had regular team meetings.
Yeah,
Oh.
I noticed when I got in my car.
You will make it very cool.
Yeah,
okay, great.
yeah, so we work directly with the health officer.
Yeah.
So my question is really just out of my curiosity and for pure ignorance. So with code enforcement, is it like the public health enforcement department as well, where you actively inspect places, or is it more reactive where somebody requests a permit, then you gotta inspect it and then you enforce the code?
I can turn it over to Gretchen. I can just sort of set the stage with the board has set a priority level, because we have limited resources in the division to be reactive, but I'll let Gretchen answer that.
Good morning, Gretchen McLaughlin, Code Enforcement Manager. So generally speaking, with our code enforcement process, we are a reactive-based, complaint-driven organization, unless if we are specifically directed by the Board of Supervisors to address some type of community quality of life issue that's impacting some type of specified location in the county. And then we may be directed to do proactive enforcement. But just to kind of answer your question, generally we go out, we respond to a complaint, do pre-investigation, find out what's going on about the site, and kind of determine if there's legitimacy to the initial components of the complaint to make sure it falls within our jurisdiction or our regulatory authority. And then we will proceed with doing an investigation, information gathering, research to find out whether the activity or the structures or whatever the claim violation that we have jurisdiction over, and work with the property owners to try to resolve any confirmed violations that we discover. Where it gets complex is when we don't get that voluntary compliance from whoever the responsible party is. That's when we have to take additional steps towards formal enforcement, which was an administrative process, a lot of paperwork, a lot of fact checking, attention to details, and navigating really tough conversations with attorneys, with our attorneys, and possibly going into any level of litigation as well in the worst case scenario for some of our cases. So it really does increase in complexity as the case of the life of the case goes into much further process if we can't get that voluntary compliance. And additionally, to answer the other person's inquiry, we have been getting a lot of additional state mandates placed on planning and building services for all the counties and state agencies, but for us, for our PBS department. And it includes following up with substandard housing complaints now to really protect our community members from slumlords. And so it is increasing the complexity of our workload because these are uncharted territories for us. So we're having to develop policies and procedures, and we're finding that those new mandates are also requiring specialized attention to detail.
How many current code enforcement officers do you have?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How many current code officers do you have?
Currently, we have 4 field officers, 3 that are inland and 1 that's assigned to the coast. And then we have 2 supervisors.
So out of those 4, what level are they at? 1 or 2?
All 4 of them, I believe, 3 of them are at a level 2, and then 1 of them is in undergoing training, so he's a code enforcement officer 1. And then we have our 2 supervisors that oversee the split between 2 and 2.
Gretchen, how many allocated positions do you have presently?
Off the top of my head, honestly, they changed it. I think we still have an additional 2 we could fill, unless if Assistant Director Burks can recall. Unfortunately, I just can't remember.
Yeah, so there was a high watermark during COVID, and when cannabis was, just exploded. The board authorized up to 18 positions in the code enforcement division.
Up to 18.
Up to 18.
So that's been rescinded.
Well, yeah, so, through the hiring freeze, through, vacant positions being closed after a certain amount of time not being filled for budgetary reasons, it shrunk, but she could have, another 4 officers probably. Because they designed it with the 2 supervisors to have, 3 to 5 staff under each if need be. It's just if the budget and the board support it. So she's she's doing an amazing job, being the Swiss Army knife with a very small team. And we're hoping that this will make it more attractive so that when and if we're able to staff her appropriately, then, we'll have a really nice structure.
So this is basically a begging for more employees, correct?
Well, yeah, and I think it's the right organizational structure for if, she does, continue with this level of workload and they staff her up, that, should be ready to handle that. Supervision's in place. Positions are open, we can now train them into these higher level positions and keep them. Yeah.
Any more comments from the commission or questions? Any public comments? Hearing none. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the new classification specification for Code Enforcement Officer 3 and the classification specification modification for Code Enforcement Officer 1, Code Enforcement Officer 2, Supervising Code Officer, and Code Enforcement Manager.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Winiger,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Slater.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
thanks, Cece, for stating that for us. That's very well.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for your time.
I'm sure I'll see you again.
Okay, moving on to item 6B, a proposal of new reclassification of children's services specialists for public health and human resources will present.
Randy Dalzell, HR Manager, good morning. A recent classification study was conducted to evaluate the duties and responsibilities of 2 incumbents currently classified as Senior Health Program Eligibility Workers, also known as HQs. The study determined that their current roles are more accurately aligned with the proposed new classification of Children's Services Specialists. To initiate the study, Human Resources requested the incumbents to complete a position description questionnaire detailing their responsibilities. Throughout the study, Human Resources engaged in multiple email communications with the incumbents, their supervisor, and the Director of Health Services. The findings reveal the incumbents' primary responsibilities center on the California Children's Services Program, also known as CCS. This is a state-mandated program covered by Welfare and Institutions Code and California Code of Regulations, Title 22, Section 51013, which provides necessary medical services to children with eligible medical conditions whose families are unable to fully afford these services. The incumbent's duties include researching and verifying financial, residential, and medical eligibility, determines all phases of the CCS program eligibility. They also issue authorizations for medical and health-related services in compliance with program laws, regulations, and policies. Additionally, they coordinate with a range of service providers, including the Oakland Children's Hospital and specialty vendors, like the durable medical equipment suppliers. And this is to confirm service dates and so on. Each incumbent manages a caseload of over 300 clients from diverse cultural, educational, and socioeconomic backgrounds. They are responsible for effectively communicating program rules and guidelines in a way that the clients can understand. Based on this study, Human Resources recommends that the Civil Service Commission approve the proposed new classification of Children's Services Specialists. Additionally, it recommends that the two incumbents currently classified as senior health program eligibility workers be reclassified to Children's Services Specialists. This reclassification will better align their roles with their expertise and responsibilities in the field of public health, particularly within the CCS program. At this time, should you have any questions, I'm joined by Mary Alice Williford, who is the staff services manager within public health, as well as one incumbent, Angeline Contreras.
Everything that you read, none of that is in our book. And I can't process that information that you read. Just like that.
So the information I read today is a little bit different than the memo that was presented,
Right.
but it should carry the same.
Yeah,
I don't see it carrying the same. I mean, you went into a lot of detail. I couldn't follow any of, I couldn't follow it. I'm sorry. I just couldn't follow it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start, and then if I could ask Mary Alice and Angelina to join in after I do a little more explanation, that would be helpful. So currently, the two incumbents that are senior health program eligibility workers, that current classification differs from the actual work they are doing. The actual work they are doing focuses on the California Children's Services Program. It's a state mandated program. It's typically for people in different socioeconomic classes. They do not have financial stability necessarily. And what the incumbents do is they verify the eligibility for these families for children who need special services, whether it's getting equipment for their health, whether it's going to Oakland's Children's Hospital to get services. But this program, these two incumbents specialize in this program for the state of California within our community. And so we are asking the commission to approve a new classification for Children's Services Specialists for the California State Program.
See, because the classification, it says it's renamed Communicable Disease
I think
Investigator.
you're on the wrong
yeah,
one.
Agenda.
Oh,
it's
Yeah,
6B.
we're 60.
Oh, no wonder.
That's what it was.
Sorry about that.
That cleared it up.
Sorry about that. What am I missing here?
We'll get to
good,
that
at
one
least I'm
later.
paying
You're jumping
attention.
ahead.
Well, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think my
I withdraw
question.
all my questions. Wow.
My question would be, what necessitated a change? Because I felt like program eligibility basically captures that. Unless there is a need for them to be very specific. I mean,
Mary Alice, do you want to start or do you want me to?
I'll let you go ahead and then I can join in.
It is a specialty need. The classification they're currently in, there are other incumbents that are doing more of the eligibility work at a general level, if you will, that is not specific to the California state program. And these particular incumbents have been doing a specific classwork for this program for a number of years, and we have been able to get them correctly classified under the program adopted, approved rather, through the California State, California Code Title 22.
Is this a grant program through the state or?
Mandate.
Is there grant funds tied to this?
No, there's not a grant for a tie. That was the question. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys, so.
Is it a grant fund?
No, it's
Carol?
not. No, it's not. These are state funds. And it is, as I explained, that this is a state mandated services that they're providing.
So it's a state funded, state mandated
Correct.
position.
Any more questions from the commission? Any?
I'm
questions?
Curious about the hierarchy, because they're coming from being senior health program eligibility worker to then child services specialist. Is that like a lower level?
No, it's not. I caution people to base a job and the classification solely on a title. And that is because the health eligibility program specialist is a series. And so there is a senior in the series there at the top of their series, if you will. But, so please don't be misled by the title.
So there's nothing else above or below the.
There,
Okay.
yes, that is correct. This is the single classification.
Any public comments from the public? None? Do I have a motion? Someone else make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the new classification of children's service specialists and reclassify two incumbents from senior health program eligibility worker to children's service specialist.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater,
Yes.
Commissioner Winiger.
I,
Motion carries unanimously.
6C.
now we're.
Now we're on 6C.
6C, proposal reclassification, a immutable disease investigator for public health. And it's your turn. You talk.
Brandy Dalzell, HR Manager. The item before you involves a classification study requested by Public Health to evaluate a position of a particular incumbent. This study aimed to assess the current duties and responsibilities as well as the knowledge, skills, and abilities required to perform the essential functions of her role. The incumbent completed a position description questionnaire, after which Human Resources conducted an in-depth analysis, including research on similar roles in other counties in alignment with the California Department of Public Health requirements. The study determined the incumbent's duties closely aligned with California Department of Public Health approved communicable disease investigator classification. The incumbent's primary responsibilities is investigating all Title 17 reportable diseases, which is a critical function in protecting public health. This includes conducting contact tracing and case investigations to prevent and control the spread of infectious diseases while providing essential health education to affected individuals in our community. Based on the findings, Human Resources recommends that the Commission approve the new classification of communicable disease investigator and reclassify the incumbent from a program specialist to communicable disease investigator. I am joined by the incumbent, Ms. O'Farrell, as well as Mary Alice Whittingford, Administrative Services Manager online, should you have any questions for us.
I have the same question. What necessitated the change from program specialist to communicable disease investigator? I only ask this because I previously applied for a job in the county, and the title that was given to me, this was a long time ago, was program administrator. So from an outsider's perspective, I'm like, that's not the job that I do. But in the job description, it says, would be in charge of communications and all that. So I feel like this is kind of the same equivalence. Like, it doesn't say in your title, but you do something else, which is, I didn't understand it at first. So then it's like, if it works for that, why does it work for this?
Again, the incumbent specializes in communicable disease versus the current role as a program specialist. There are different duties and responsibilities under that classification. And right now, Ms. O'Farrell is classified as a program specialist, focusing on the communicable disease of under Title 17 that are reportable diseases that we as the county have to report and educate on, and we have to be in compliance with CDPH, California Department of Public Health.
So is this, again, if Ms. O'Farrell is, basically moved from program specialist to the position communicable disease investigator, what happens to the program specialist 2 position?
There currently are several other incumbents that hold that same classification, doing different work than what Ms. O'Farrell is doing. And Ms. O'Farrell is the only person that is doing this classification work of a communicable disease investigator. She can speak more to the type of work that she's doing if you have that, but the senior or the other health program specialists do not do what Ms. O'Farrell.
Right, so I guess my question is, will someone have to be hired to fill that program specialist 2 position, or will the other 2s basically assume that?
As is currently, they're doing that work,
Yeah,
and we are correcting Ms. O'Farrell's classification.
so it's
So
not,
it's not gonna be,
yeah,
we're not adding another senior
Gotcha.
program.
yeah,
So basically you have other program specialists for it, but they're not gonna be specializing in communicable disease.
Correct.
okay, thanks.
Any further questions from the commission? Any public comments? Questions? All right, do I have a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the classification to communicable disease investigator and to reclassify the incumbent from program specialist to communicable disease investigator.
Roll call. So I second.
I'll second.
All right, excuse me. Moving on.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater,
Aye.
Commissioner Winiger,
Aye.
Commissioner Evia.
Yes,
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item number 6D, proposal of new classification of lactation consultant for public health human resources to present. My niece does this work, not here, but in Oregon. It's good.
May I thank the board for sending this and for the
Oh, well,
because I do want to say civil cases are on the rise
oh, yeah,
and it's a real change. So,
I bet it is.
Thanks for what
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, thanks for what you do. It's a difficult job.
yes,
Very
the area
difficult.
questions are pretty personal.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Well, thanks for keeping us safe. We appreciate it. In the public service. It's not an easy job. That's why I'm here volunteering, because I know how hard it is for you.
Well, look at David, too.
Okay,
Morning, Commissioners, Randy Delgado, HR Manager. Public Health has recognized the need for a lactation consultant, which enhances the WIC's program capacity to deliver comprehensive breastfeeding support, consultation, and education services to its clients. This classification ensures alignment with the state regulations governing lactation support services. Human Resources recommends the commission approve the new classification of lactation consultant to maintain the compliance within the requirements of the California Department of Public Health's Women, Infant, and Children's Program. Again, this program this classification is in compliance with the WIC program, of which what we currently do not have a lactation consultant. And to be in compliance, this is the recommendation of the commission is to approve this classification of lactation consultant. At this time, again, Mary Alice Williford, Administrative Services Manager, is joined online for any questions.
I take it this is a new classification?
This is
No,
a-
There's no.
This is a new
incumbent.
No
position.
incumbent at this
No.
time. We will, if, should this classification be approved by the commission, And then further approved by the board at a later time, we will be recruiting for the lactation consultant to be in compliance.
So my question would be, I feel like when I had my baby, it's a long time ago and I was sleep deprived. I did call the county, and there was a lactation consultant, or maybe that wasn't their official title. She was there for the longest time. And I knew her, she worked with a lot of our patients at the hospital. So that's why I was surprised that there's nobody in, that this is a new classification.
Mary Alice, you can join in after this too. We do have people that are specialized in
Trained.
lactation consulting. However, the county does not hold a lactation consultant classification of which the state
Yeah.
requires.
No, yeah, and this position also requires a certification. And currently, we've been recruiting under a program specialist, which is really generalized. And so we have not been able to successfully recruit for this position because of the certification that's required. So the hope with this position being created is that we would be able to have a successful recruitment and get a candidate that does, or candidates that have the required certification.
Is this would this be a full-time position?
Yes, it is.
Is there a need for a full-time lactation consultant?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
That's an
I
issue.
think so.
And it's one of the requirements in the WIC program. Then what, that's a state mandated position. So with not having that, we do not meet the state mandates.
I think from my own experience, you know, with the hospital, they try to help you, but with the mandates, it's like they're staying less and less, spending less and less time at the hospital. And the lactation consultant is really important after you get home. And you're not really getting any support from the hospital because you're already discharged. So having somebody that can help you through the first 2 weeks of trying to, you know, get your breastfeeding corrected is I think it's really important.
I guess, you know, with my own personal background with the use of government money, I'll just leave it at that. I'm wondering, it's always easy to add, I understand the state requirement that it's mandated by the state, that's not an issue. But I wonder about creating a new position as opposed to reorganizing the department so that this position is created, but there's a reorganization, so it doesn't involve having to add actual new personnel.
So like adding this task under someone.
No, the public health department is actually looking at reorganization and actually working on different classifications. Hence why we have adding new, because we will be removing some, if you will, potentially. But we need to be in compliant with the state. We have also and will be continuing to look at different classifications within the public health department that can absorb modifications to their current classification. But in this case, because of the certification required, and the program itself requires a lactation consultant, so we can't just absorb that into another classification.
So what happens if we are not in compliance with the WIC programs?
We continue to pay fines.
Which is probably more than the employee.
So we need to do
All right, do I have any more questions from the commission or comments?
So is there anybody, Mary Alice, is there anybody inside the county now that could fill this role?
No, there's not.
So it's basically an outside position. You're looking at an outside position.
It'll be one we'll be recruiting for, correct? We have tried to recruit for it, but under the current classification, we have been unsuccessful.
So, yeah, I mean, back to my, last comment. I mean, if the county does provide lactation consultation currently. With a consultant, those duties will no longer be required of the current employees to provide that. So their time will be, in a sense, freed up by removing that part
No,
of their.
it won't affect the current employees. This is as an additional position that we need that that'll help oversee what the current employees are doing. So it's not going to affect the current employees at all.
So is there someone that is actually providing those services but just not certified?
No, there's not. We're out of compliance by not having this position.
All right, and do we have any public comments from the public or online and Zoom? None? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the new classification specification lactation consultant.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Whittaker,
I,
Commissioner Evian,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 6E. Thank you for your time, Mary.
Thank you.
And your service as well, and your employees. Tell them thanks. New classification, reclassification of fleet and facility maintenance supervisor and capital project manager. Human resources. Randy to predict.
Thank you. Good morning, Randy Delvell, Human Resources Manager. The Fleet and Facility Division has requested a classification study from Human Resources to evaluate the Assistant Facility Manager classification. The goal of the study was to create a structured framework for defining the roles and responsibilities and qualifications and ensuring alignment between required skills, competencies, and job expectations. The study involved a comprehensive job analysis, development of classification criteria, and benchmarking against industry standards. In support of the county's strategic plan, goals and objectives, this study examined the roles and responsibilities of the current assistant facility manager incumbents. As part of their process, incumbents completed a position description questionnaire and provided detailed accounts of their duties. Human Resources also conducted individual meetings with the incumbents, uncovering significant variations in their responsibilities. The findings revealed that most of the duties performed by each incumbent differ from that of their current classification. The study determined that one incumbent's primary responsibilities center on managing capital projects, while the other incumbent oversees all other projects, including fleet and facilities maintenance and custodial operations. At this time, based on the analysis, Human Resources recommends the reclassification of the incumbents from the assistant facility manager to a capital projects manager and from an assistant facility manager to a fleet facilities maintenance superintendent as new classifications. These adjustments better reflect the specialized duties and responsibilities of each of their roles. This time, if you have any questions, I am available, as well as the Assistant Human Resources Director, Denise Bartolome.
Well, I'm back to my typical question. Is this an expansion of the department in terms of two, or is it just reclassifying and those old positions of assistant facility manager are eliminated essentially?
So currently, we, at one point, we had what was referred to as General Services Agency. Over the last year and a half, the county has been restructuring, and a large portion of the restructure was part of the General Services Agency. Some of which you guys have already done reclassifications on other classifications that moved out. This is in line with that continued study and reorganization of the department. The fleet and facilities position has had over the last several years one classification that was to be in a single incumbent position, and that is the assistant facility manager. we have had 2 people, so we are not in line with our classification specification as it currently is, because we have 2 incumbents filling in a single incumbent position. In addition, with that reorganization, there has been other parts of the strategic plan for the county, one of which included what was called the Voluntary Separation Incentive Plan, the VSIP plan. And under that plan, certain departments elected to, certain departments had the opportunity to elect certain classifications within their department at that time to offer part of this incentive program. The former General Services Agency was one of those departments who elected to offer the VSIP, the Voluntary Incentive Separation Plan, the opportunity to retire early for the position of the Fleet and Facilities Division Manager. Part of that program requires that position not to be eliminated, but to be frozen for a two-year period of time. With having no department head currently, because the the Fleet and Facilities Division Manager is not filled, the assistant facility managers have taken on different roles, as well as more movement within that reorganization with the absence of the department head. So by giving 2 new classifications to the current assistant facility manager incumbents, this actually will appropriately align their work that they're doing for the county to their class spec. One of which is a project manager, capital projects.
Is that capital projects for,
all county projects.
all kinds
So-
of, so facilities?
Yeah.
Major road work?
More buildings.
More building?
Building structure, for instance, the jail. If you've been following, the county is doing a jail project. We have Measure B funds for the mental health facility. Those are considered capital projects because of the volume of dollars. And we have one person that focuses on that and is responsible for managing those.
I wonder why is facilities separated from capital project manager? They seem like they would be more married together. A project manager over facilities. Am I making any sense? There's fleet and facility are together in this change.
Versus the capital project manager.
Yeah, to me, facility and project manager go more hand in hand, although facility also includes janitorial, right?
Correct. And
So it's a little different in that regard.
maintenance.
And maintenance, so it's more, the facility in this regard is more like fleet, it's maintenance. Is that true? It's not facilities where, if I was a facility manager, I would be worrying about facility projects as well. You're saying no. You're saying that position, the fleet and facility position is maintenance only, pretty much.
Yes, and the capital project
Is
has to do with.
new
expansions,
construction,
new
paint.
construction,
yeah,
yeah,
large projects.
so they might work together in something, but they're.
Yeah, I just from my own experience. Facility and project manager tended to be together because they were alike. Where fleet is not like facility
And to
in
that,
terms of knowledge.
and to that note, and that's why they are separate, because many counties during this research, many counties actually have a fleet division and a facilities division.
Right, that's what I was doing.
We are one of very few
Oh.
that have it combined.
Okay,
Okay, and back to that's still not clear. We've got 2 assistant facility managers. We want to put one as the capital project, one as the facilities superintendent. we have a fleet and facilities maintenance manager position that's not filled, it's not gonna be filled for 2 years.
No,
Is
That
that
was my
accurate to
question.
start
When is
with?
that 2-year freeze?
So
up and-
with the reorg that Brandy mentioned, the division is part of the executive office now. So the reporting goes up through the executive office, and that department head doesn't exist.
What department head?
The department head and the manager that Brandy had mentioned.
So those are done.
Eventually, we cannot abolish that position now at this time. We cannot inactivate. The only inactivation is to freeze and unfund that position. So it's
And
not,
that's what's been done.
yes.
So why
Essentially,
can't you eliminate that position?
I'm sorry,
Now, why can't you do that now?
because it's part of the incentive program.
Because you get sued.
What's the incentive program?
The voluntary separation incentive program, so the person, the department head, or excuse me, the manager at that time. Was able to take an early retirement, and there was a financial incentive, as the program was a financial incentive. To retire maybe a little bit early than they had planned. It's entirely up to that person's choice. But it had to go through a process, it has to be approved, the program had to be approved. Not all departments necessarily volunteered or participated in the program. Because they can't risk losing a position for 2 years. So because of the reorg, this fit that plan.
Okay,
For
so you got this person, the manager, to retire early through this incentive program. Why did that necessitate having to freeze that position for 2 years?
Yeah. As a requirement of the program.
Really?
That's the
I don't see
incentive.
the connection
I know.
between those at
It's
all.
Well, the incentive was to find positions so to save money.
To save money as
And
part of
so-
this, yeah, as part of.
They don't want to backtrack.
And that position will not come back as an active.
They wanted to close and
Okay.
become more efficient, and that's
Okay.
what we're doing,
So-
we're becoming more efficient.
So back to the assistant facility manager positions, there's 2. What happens to those?
We are, with this request, we would be correctly. Reclassifying them to the work that they do
Right.
appropriately, because their current assistant facility manager job description.
Right,
Does not match the work they do, so the assistant facility manager position at this time would be vacant. And there could be the opportunity to abolish that position or inactivate that position. There is no intention of filling an assistant manager position.
okay, so it seems more genuine to me, sitting here. To put those things together, that, I mean, to ask the commission, I get that why you wanna do this. You know, it's more in alignment with what the assistant facility managers are actually doing. Great, let's reclassify them into these positions that reflect that. But at the same time, why not bring and abolish the assistant facility manager positions? Otherwise, they're still sitting there. And I'm just thinking in terms of fiscal oversight. That was my background. And yes, the positions are still sitting there. They may or may not be filled, but the fact that they're there, that potential is there. And so I don't see me supporting this unless it also includes eliminating the assistant facility manager positions.
So, but
I
the
guess.
fiscal oversight isn't the
Purview.
requirement yet.
Right.
It's not the purview of the commission.
Right,
That is, the departments and the board.
okay, okay.
I get her point.
Yeah.
And there's the reorg, it's not done, you know, like Brady said, she's working on it with the department.
But it could have been, I mean, we have.
At the end of the day,
Hang on, we have had things come before the commission where we asked for this new classification and elimination of
Yes.
such, we've had those come.
But it hasn't been one that's been through the SIP where it's been, made to be frozen for 2 years.
But that's not the position that was frozen, the assistant, that was the man, I'm not questioning that. This is the assistant facility manager positions. Those weren't frozen for 2 years.
Those will be activated. The
They
position-
are going to the board of supervisors as a had deletes, meaning
To be.
we're adding the new recommended, approved, if you will, classifications. At the same time, we will be deleting 2.0 FTE, 2 headcount, full-time equivalent. We'll be deleting 2 assistant manager positions,
So why wouldn't that come to us as well?
because we're not abolishing the classification yet.
You're abolishing the position.
We are removing the position yet.
Any further comments, questions?
I get where you're coming out on that.
Yeah,
I get it. But it sounds like it's gonna happen.
yeah, but I don't get why, I still,
Comes in bits and pieces.
no, I guess I still don't get why it wasn't presented here as a, we want to do this and we want to do that. I guess that's, and I understand the fiscal part. I'll delete that out.
At this time, with the reorganization of what was formerly known as GSA, General Services Agency, with that reorganization and due to various results of that reorganization, what prompted it being in, with having the board directives, having a board strategic plan, very multiple things, factors here play a part. We are not, what we're taking to the board, should these classifications be approved, as we just said, we will be adding 2 positions, deleting 2 positions. We will not be allowed to fill an assistant manager right now, facility assistant manager, because in theory, it's not approved as part of the budget. We can't go fill it. We would have to go back to the board and ask for it to be added. The position is in our filing cabinet. If we ever in the future need to go and pull it out and say, I think we need to bring this position back forward. So we are adding new classifications. We're just making that filing cabinet a lot bigger with all kinds of different classifications or titles, if you will, of jobs that have been or could be.
So you're not gonna fill it, but you don't want to delete it. Is that what I
At
hear?
this time, we have not chosen to abolish.
Basically shelter.
Huh.
In your back pocket. Or like,
And I think financially with the well, the removal of the manager, the 2-year, and not backfilling those 2, you're actually financially better off.
as part of the goal of the strategic plan,
What's that?
as part of the goal of the strategic plan.
I feel like for this kinds, especially when we're doing reorgs, I feel like it's helpful to have like an org chart that kind of shows like, so we get the big picture. Cause I think sometimes we don't understand how it correlates, because we get the changes like in piecemeal, but so we're not relating what we just approved like a month ago. I think it's helpful, especially when you're doing a reorg, to see like, okay, what does that look like now?
But you gotta keep in mind, the commission doesn't, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't really have any say over. the
I know,
organization.
but I think for us to approve some things,
Yeah,
it helps
yeah.
to get the big picture.
You wanna visually see.
Yeah,
It should-
I think the concern is that fiscally responsibility to the county, this is actually being fiscally responsible
Mhm.
for the county.
I just, I
Assuming
hear you
those
say you're
jobs
not
don't
gonna
get
fill it.
filled.
but you're not gonna delete it. It's kind of like having your cake and eating it too. That's just how I see it. As opposed to what we've seen in the past. We want to create these positions, we're gonna delete these positions. That's all. As opposed to leave them open, which who knows who knows who will be in any of these positions 5 years down the line and says, oh yeah, let's fill these positions. That's all. Just saying.
So Brandy, I'll just ask, so at what point would you think there would be a reason to bring back these two positions that were essentially eliminated?
It could, you know, and this is the first thing that came to my mind. It could be the economy picks up
Just the
and
growth,
there is a lot of growth. We take on new projects, we take on a larger fleet. There could be more hires. Again, I think it would be economy.
well, let's say we do, let's say you do abolish those two positions like she's talking about, and if we do have growth. That you could come back to the commission, you reinstate those. positions.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yes, you could.
So why wouldn't that be done? At this point?
We have not discussed that and have not been given that directive.
I mean, I see where she's coming from. I totally understand it. I see.
Positions, I don't foresee them being filled
That's
in the
my-
future. They're taking on those duties and a little bit more, these two new positions. So there would be no need to fill the two positions that also do the same work. So in the future, they're already going to be add deleted as long as it's approved through the board. And then after they're add deleted, that would be when we could potentially abolish them. You don't want to abolish if you don't know what's exactly going to happen. Does that make sense?
That's a board, that's a board level. Gotcha.
So sometimes you bring it and we have brought them and abolished at the same time, but not always.
No, not always.
Yeah.
But you have that prerogative to come to the commission and add and abolish.
And we can abolish them later through you as well.
Yeah.
It's just that this time we chose not to do it that way.
Okay, do we have any public comments in Zoom otherwise? Great, do I have a motion? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed new classification of capital project manager and fleet facility being a superintendent and reclassify the incumbents.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call?
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater.
Aye.
Commissioner Winiger,
Aye.
Commissioner Emily.
No,
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, item 6F, the abolishment of dormant classification. Yes,
Can we go back and bring?
yes, let's do that. Thank you.
Yeah, go for it. It's only us in here.
what's that?
It's only us in here. It's us and IT. That's it.
I would just need.
Okay.
We're almost there.
So where are we on 6F?
6F.
Yes,
It's a one pager.
we're online again.
Jerry, we get to abolish something.
I see that.
Finally.
Would you mind reintroducing the item?
Oh, we're back. All right.
We are back.
Okay, so item number 6F is an abolishment of the dormant classification, underlined dormant, of air quality management, district manager, district program manager, buyer, trainee, and buyer. And Randy, Human Resources to present.
Good morning. Randy Dalbell, Human Resources Manager. Before you are three classifications the county has not utilized for the last couple of years and has no intention of filling the positions of Air Quality Management District Program Manager, the buyer trainee, or buyer classifications. There are many reasons classifications become dormant, such as departments begin using other existing classifications that are better suited, or classifications are created to replace old classifications. In this particular case, these three classifications of Air Quality Management District Program Manager, a buyer trainee, and buyer, they've all been replaced with new classifications. And at this time, we seek to abolish these three classifications. We have discussed this with the departments, and they too have no intention of filling these and agree with the recommendation to abolish the classifications as presented.
So who's the air quality manager now?
I'm sorry?
So you're abolishing the air quality management district program manager, is that, what's that look like now?
About a year and a half ago, Human Resources worked with the Air Quality Management District. At that time, the commission also approved new classifications because we did a reorganization at that time. At that time, we created a separate classification and no longer used the program manager of the Air Quality Management District, because with the creation of the new classification, we incorporated the duties and responsibilities into that new classification, of which has been since the one that has taken on the position. This classification has been dormant, and they will not be reusing that after that reorganization.
What's the new classification called?
You would have to ask.
Yeah.
Org chart.
That's what I said. It's like, I want to see the org chart. Just for it to make sense.
But there is a manager over air quality. It's just different, in line with the duties that they're doing today, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
10 minutes ago, Sherry wanted to abolish it, now she doesn't want to abolish it. You.
That had nothing to do with my question.
Any-
It's all right.
It's a coordinator,
It's all right.
Air Quality Coordinator of.
I was just curious what it was called, that's all. It's not essential.
any
It's not essential to this. Okay, knowing that, I was just curious.
Have any questions, any more comments, questions? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the abolishment of the Air Quality Management District Program Manager, buyer trainee, and buyer classifications.
Second,
Okay, we have a second. I didn't ask if we had any public comment, I guess we
It's
don't.
just us.
Roll call?
Commissioner Slater,
Aye.
Commissioner Winiger,
I,
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
Commissioner Wiley.
Yes.
Motion carries with this.
Now, do we have any other business? No other business at this time? Okay. Human resources, do we have any more?
Yeah, just a reminder, so Denise Bartolome, Assistant HR Director. So for next month, we have the regular meeting on the 15th, and then we have the special meeting that will be on the 20th and 30th.
And do you expect those to go all day?
We're unsure, but that's why we
We
scheduled
can
them, because we
plan them.
believe, yeah, yes,
Okay,
there is potential for them.
So the 2-day hearings.
and those are disciplinary hearings? Okay.
So I will not be available
Yeah,
on
the
the
other-
15th.
Oh, he's not here.
It's on the 15th.
Okay.
Nashville convention,
What kind of election?
your convention.
Good for you.
Wow, just before the end of the year, huh? The 29th and 30th.
No, January. We had to
Oh,
review
that's
January.
right, I did put it in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We couldn't find him.
So is that gonna
Oh,
throw a
okay.
wrinkle in the meeting, or we could do a 3?
We can do it three.
We can do it, yeah.
So will we have a regular January meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like on January
Yeah,
15th.
yeah,
Okay.
15th, and then we'll also have the special meeting 29th and 30th.
Okay. Oh, so-
So there's
So
no-
Denise, will you make note that I will not be here on that?
Yes, it is.
And I will try to remind you when something comes out. I don't know who sends out the little email thing.
Mandy,
Monday, the-
So we're going to adjourn at 11:22
I think it's,
or
it's 10.
40.
10:41.
Oh, 10, yeah,
And
Push it.
42.
10:40.
Meets everyone.
Thank you, thanks for all your hard work. And preparing for this meeting.